Welcome to the Let's Talk with Paula show, where we talk about many, many things and hot topics. And we always try to keep you up to date. And Attorney Bell and I just started talking about some things because we know that what went on in Maui, on that little town over there, and all those people that's passed away that have nothing, or the ones that survived, and how do they make sure that they get whatever if they find anything, and so we just thought that we need to talk to you about some things again. We've talked about them before. That's important for, especially, it doesn't matter how old you are now, but if you have anything, you own anything, or you want something done a certain way, me and Attorney Bell just thought that it was good just to refresh your memory, because there's still a lot of people that are passing away, and I'm gonna pass it over to him in 1 second. But I do want to say this to you. I don't know what they call in this variant that's out now, because they have many names, because the variant never really went away. They just started throwing on commercials and calling it different things, but all of them were respiratory diseases. So they had to do something with COVID, okay? But there are people that are having COVID tests that I know that they say that they've been looking for COVID tests in many places and they're running out. So you need to look at your boxes, and if they expired, you need to throw them in the trash, because those COVID tests are no longer any good. So look at the end of your boxes that you have, if you have laying around, you never use. If they have an expiration date on all of them, find it. If it's no good, throw it in the trash. Also, is people that I'm finding that are actually getting COVID. I mean, they're actually calling it COVID because they're getting COVID tests, and they say that they test positive for COVID, whether it was at their house. School just started, and I think a lot of kids have to have those tests before they go back to school. So these family members, by surprise, a family finding out that they got COVID, or somebody in the house has COVID. So COVID is back, okay? I'm not joking, I'm serious. So we can wear our masks when we're out. Me and Donald are separated, at least 6 feet apart. Tom is in the studio, nobody's in this building, so we are pretty safe, okay? We came in our own cars, and we're pretty safe. So, but when you're in a crowd or you're in a store or something, I would really recommend that you wear your mask, okay? And now I'm gonna let Attorney Bell talk, okay? How you doing today?
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me back today.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Donald Bell. I'm here in Maryland. My office is located in Greenbelt, and I'm here in Prince George's County. And again, thank you for having me back.
And your phone number where they can contact you.
Phone number at the office, 301-614-0535. Please give me a call if you are facing any issues related to losing your home, or any type of financial issues. And also call me if there are issues related to estate planning.
Like some of the things we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
and also,
very
I want to mention one more thing.
Okay.
So
when we get started.
Before we talked about an issue where we filed a lawsuit to help a person get their property back who had lost in the tax sale.
Right. So
we won on the trial court level, and the purchaser appealed it to the district court, and this happened about a year ago. So we just found out a week ago that the district court agreed with us. So this guy is going to get his house back. So he had lost his house to tax sale. It was an $80,000 property, and the purchaser had paid like $700 for it.
Wow.
So he had lost his house. And we were able, through the bankruptcy process, to overturn that process and get this guy back his house.
Okay, so
this is all that he owned.
Wait a minute. Now, in the process of y'all going through the process, who stayed in the house?
Well, he stayed in the house because once we filed the bankruptcy case, everything was stopped or stayed, pending disposition. Okay. So the purchaser
so he never had to leave his house.
So no, he never had to leave his house, but he was on the verge of the sheriff coming out and doing an eviction.
Yeah, that guy that we talk about all the time, that has all that power.
Sheriff has a lot of power.
Yes, yeah. So I'm so glad to hear that, because I know that you were working on it for a minute. I'm glad to. I mean, it's always good to hear these success stories that come out your office. Yeah,
we just found out about it like about a week ago.
Oh wow!
When it was a 40-page decision that just came out, so it was just published. And so I just told the the young man like earlier this week, like, hey, you're going to be able to keep your house. Because there's a real possibility had the district court reversed what the trial court had done, then the sheriff would have been out probably within 30 days.
You're telling me he would have had to leave.
And he would have lost his house over not paying a $700 property tax bill.
Get out of here.
Yes.
$700 property tax.
$734 or something like that.
I wish my property tax was $700.
Yeah.
Okay. So which county did he live? He had to live in PG County.
This is Prince George's County.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the time that you should be getting mail. You should have already gotten your property tax information.
That is correct.
And the other thing is that if you don't have it included, and that's probably what happens, a lot of people have their property tax included in their mortgage, okay?
But a lot of people, particularly older people, have paid off their houses.
Right.
And they don't have a mortgage.
Okay, so they just have to pay, right, they just have to pay the property tax, and nobody's probably ever told them, and the insurance, and nobody probably ever told them they had to do that. So you heard that, right? So if your house is paid off for, you still get that bill though. You get the bill from the property tax people, okay, and you get the bill from what was the other one you said?
The property insurance.
The property insurance.
Yes.
So you still need to make sure, guys, seriously, and that's why we try to keep you guys up to date. And the water bill, I like to say that all the time, is the only other thing, a utility bill, that can get the sheriff can come to your house if you don't pay it.
You can lose your house over not paying your water bill.
Not paying your water bill. So, you know, you can always call the utility companies. You can always call the water company and make arrangements. You can go to, I think in the summertime I was telling them, I'm not sure, so you need to check this out, but Salvation Army, they were letting you come and get your water bill paid on Mondays. You could go in there and fill out the paperwork, and it took some time for you to get it back. But in Prince George's County, it is, I knew, it's in Landover, I think it is. Anyway, check up where Salvation Army is for PG County, okay? And where you would pay your water bill, because if you got a high water bill, because some people don't realize, I'm going to tell you what the water company told me. It must have been a few years ago, so I know it hadn't changed. That the silent killer in your house is your toilet, okay? Your toilet, you don't hear it run for a long time, you know, you don't hear it, you're not paying attention. And then all of a sudden, when it gets bad, then it's too late. When you start hearing it and they're not filling up like it's supposed to. Well, it's a quick way that you can check.
That rubber seal?
Yeah, the rubber seal, and the flap could go bad, and all these new toilets, they're different kind of things. I can't even tell you because there's so many different kind of new toilets out here. But the test that you do is that you take something with color in it. You can even use a Pepsi. Pepsi got kind of like,
and you know this because your son's a contractor. So.
Right, yes.
Okay.
And the other part of that is, I mean, they say you can use Pepsi, but Pepsi take battery acid off, right? So I wouldn't use no Pepsi if I'm trying to check and see if color coming down in there. But you can use food coloring, anything that has color. You put it in the back of the toilet. You know, you pull the lid up, you pour it in the back of the toilet. Then in a half an hour, you go back and look in the commode, you know, the area that you sit on. And if it has color in it, then that means that your toilet has a leak. Okay, so it could be any number of things. It could be the handle not making it drop like it's supposed to, whatever. Now, if that's been doing it before you started to hear it, okay, your water bill is probably going to be $700 some odd or more, okay? So, I mean, periodically.
I think if you have more than one bathroom in the house.
Oh, yeah, and if you haven't checked all them, it's going to be more than that, okay? Because if you have more than one bathroom, you need to check them all. If you check one, check them all, okay? And make sure that.
Particularly here in Bowie, you know, people have 2-3 bathrooms.
So. Oh, that's right. That's right. And they could be in a Rambler. They could still have 2 or 3 bathrooms, you know? So you need to check them all. So use food coloring. I guess you can use Kool-Aid if you want to mix it up, you know, and use it. But I don't know if because then you come back and say, I told you to use Pepsi or Coke, and that'll take the battery acid off your battery. So don't use those, okay? But use something that has color. Half an hour, pour it in, take the lid up, pour it in there, put it back on, half an hour, go back and check, see if the bowl has color in it. If it does, you need to call a plumber, call one of your children, and tell them to check the different gadgets that you have. And you can go to Home Depot, I think Paul said to me, you go to Home Depot, or you can go to whatever the other one is, and you go into the plumbing section and ask them, I have such and such kind of toilet, write it down, and tell them it's making noise, I'm losing water, okay? Also, if you've noticed, he said because he's going in a lot of houses sometimes, and people don't realize that where the spigot you turn on and off,
Okay.
that it has a leak. Okay.
Okay.
So you need to check around the toilet and make sure you don't have any leaks. Okay. But you could go into, and if you have that insurance, the AHS, whatever that is, you can call them and ask them. They send somebody out and come out there and fix it. Any home warranty thing, you can probably have them come out if you have that in your coverage for your plumbing. But it's very important because, like we said, that the sheriff can come to your house over a water bill, and you can lose your house because you didn't pay the water bill or you didn't make arrangements. Any utility or any bill that you have, you can always make arrangements. You know what I mean? Just don't let the bill get behind. Call them. If you know you can't pay it right there, call them and say to them, you know, can I make an arrangement, you know? And so, I mean, we don't want people losing their homes. It's too much going on out here for you to little simple things that you can do yourself. Oh, once you do that check and you see your toilet is running, the water company tells you to turn it off immediately, right? Turn it off until you get it fixed. So that means that check all three of them because one of them might not have a leak, so you might have one toilet until you get it fixed, right?
Yep.
So check all three of them. If all three of them, then you got to turn it off and turn it on until you get it fixed.
Yep.
But it's worth it. I mean, I would hate for somebody to have to do that. And now I understand why President Trump said, when he was in office, remember he said, I can't understand why this water bill is so high. But people go to the bathroom 700 times a day. I didn't know what he was talking about, right? Well, the toilets, nobody's probably was checking the toilets in the White House. You got people coming in and out all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so even the White House had a water problem with the water bill. So check that, that's important. But there's some other things we want to go back and talk to since COVID is back. Okay, and they're not telling you that it's back, and we don't know which one that is called and which one that is not, okay? But if you have a respiratory problem, wear a mask, like I said. If you're in a crowd, you're going to the grocery stores, Walmart, Target, any one of them, CVS, I don't care who it is, wear a mask. If you know you're going to be in a crowd, like riding the subway, wear a mask. Or the bus, wear a mask. You know, any place where there's a group of people you need to be, you're going to be in close proximity. So COVID is back. People are still dying, you know, and I guess it won't be until the number gets extremely high again, then they'll tell us. So I know I got a notice from my pharmaceutical company that told me to get my flu shot. Okay, so if you need to get a flu shot, you know, I would suggest if you take them, get it. If you get a pneumonia shot, if it's that time for you to get it again, because that's not an every year shot, I would go out there and get it. People that have compromised systems, that have bronchitis, asthma, respiratory problems. Make sure that you get those things. If you have an inhaler, man, I couldn't find my inhaler in my house one day. I almost had a fit because I knew that I would keep one in the glove compartment, one in my purse, right? And the newest one I would put in the house, you know. The one that's getting ready to run out, I put in the glove compartment. Couldn't find even one of them. Almost had a fit. The pharmacy was closed, right? I prayed, and God let me find one that was still good, you know. So the inhalers, rescue inhalers, that's why they call rescue inhalers, okay? All right? So I'm going to leave that alone because there's some other topics that we need to go back and address that are very important. And like I said, it doesn't matter how old you are. A 22-year-old just died that I know from pneumonia, okay? So it doesn't matter how old you are. And so, Donald, please, there's some issues that, you know, we were talking about that if you could kind of like, you know, this is that time of the year, especially with the property tax, like you said. Property tax you got to pay. The insurance you need to pay on your house if you've already paid it off. The tax bill should have come out. Homestead, you need to make sure that that bill is going to your mortgage company if you haven't sent it, because I found out from my own mortgage company that they get the bill, but they don't look at the bill, okay? But the bill for your property tax is you are responsible for making sure that they get this bill. Well, I mean, they told me my taxes had gone up, so I figured they got the bill, right? And they had my homestead, you know, on it. They said all they do is go out and look at the website and find out how much the taxes are, and they pay the taxes, okay? So I had to get Attorney Bell to look at my tax bill to make sure that my homestead was on there, and he did that for me. Thank you so much. And he sent them over to the people, and I want to tell you, they said they got them. I got a letter saying that they got them. I want to tell you that. Yeah.
Because we faxed that evening.
Did you?
You know, I don't usually do faxes.
Yeah. I know.
So the staff usually does it. So I'm glad. I was wondering. I was hoping that it went through. So.
We did. They sent me a letter and said, we got the information that you sent to us, and we have to reassess it. They didn't tell me what they were going to do, but they just said they got it. Okay. I want to let you know that today, that they did get that. Thank you so much for sending it off for me.
Okay.
So, homestead, if you don't have it, I really recommend that you apply for it, okay, because it does help you with your property taxes, okay. We were surprised that mine was so cheap, okay, that they weren't taking that much off. I don't know why, but you know, maybe that's something I need to investigate, okay. But I thought it was going to be more than what it said, you know. But so homestead is important. If you don't have it, you need to get it. And people watch our show for this kind of information that you get.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we talked about this evening before we started the show, the importance of if you own a home, if you have property, no matter how old you are, we really think that it's important that you do some sort of estate planning. Whether it is looking at the deed that you have and maybe updating that deed. So maybe you and your spouse purchased that property 30 years ago, and maybe your spouse has gone on to glory, and you know the deed still has your name and your spouse's name on it. Maybe you should update it, and maybe you should consider, like, who do you want the house to go to? Maybe you want it to go to one of your kids. So maybe you should consider, you know, there are various ways that you can reconstruct the deed so that upon your death, the property automatically goes to your child, so it doesn't go through probate. You know, and if that's not going to work for you, maybe we need to look at some type of will, okay, where the will will sort of dictate what, you know, your wishes, your last wishes, in terms of how you want your property distributed. Okay, because if you don't do it, then what will happen is the state will do it.
Oh, okay.
And the state is going to do it in a way that's advantageous to the state, meaning there are going to be more taxes that, you know, your estate will have to pay to the state of Maryland. Okay, so I think it's prudent that you get in contact with, particularly if you have a home and you've lived in that home for a long period of time, even if you lived in it for a short period of time, because properties here in Prince George's County have increased significantly over the last 3 or 4 years. You'd be surprised, you know, houses have gone up, you know, as much as like 40-50% here in this county. So you may have equity in that property. So don't leave it up to the state to determine, you know, what's going to happen to your property.
And that's why I every now and then I get these letters that say from like a mortgage company. I don't know who they are. That's why I always ask you, is this real? And you tell me, no, that's an advertisement. But I just got one. I meant to bring because I want you to look at it. I just got one recently from a mortgage company that says you might want to refinance because you haven't used, like, they said $60,000 that you have in equity in your home, okay? So you can get in contact with you and we can do a loan modification for you and get your equity out your house. I said, I'm gonna take that to Donald, because at the bottom and the back, you know how they start getting all that little fine print on it.
This is a legal advertisement.
Yeah. So you need to be careful when you get those, you know, and just don't jump on it, because if you're satisfied, because interest rates have gone up as well.
Interest rates have increased significantly. The average interest rate right now is above 7%. Most people who either refinanced or got mortgages before 2020 or during the pandemic may have interest rates that are 4% or less. So I talk to people now, and when we're looking at loan modifications and things of that nature, sometimes I advise them not to even take them.
That's right.
Because if they get market rates and your interest rate increases to 7%, that's going to have a dramatic impact on your monthly payment. So if you got a 4% or a 3% interest rate and you're thinking about refinancing or taking out a home equity line of credit, you know, you got to sit down and do the math. And if you can't do the math, then maybe you should come and talk to somebody like me. Or if not me, then another lawyer who can sit down, because a lot of times you just get on the internet and put up a mortgage calculator and show you, okay, if your interest rate is 3% now and you refinance and your interest rate is going to be, you got great credit, and your interest rate is going to be 6.5 or 7%.
It's still an increase in your mortgage.
That your mortgage payment may double. So you need to take that. Yeah, you may get that $60,000 of equity out.
But I don't even know if that was true. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I will tell you,
know.
properties here in Bowie have increased significantly.
Yeah.
They have increased significantly.
Yeah.
I have clients who come in who consult with me about bankruptcy and things of that nature, and you'd be surprised at how, those property values have increased over the last 3 years.
Well,
so be careful. Also, be careful about when people come to you and they want you to sign stuff. I have a lot of seniors who are coming to me, and because there's not a lot of inventory out on the market, so people are trying to go to seniors and try to get them to sign contracts to sell their properties and things of that nature. Before you sign anything, even if you have to pay a lawyer $500 or I'm probably not supposed to mention money here, but whatever you got to pay the lawyer.
Not supposed to mention money here. It was an accident.
But
he's giving an example.
But whatever you got to pay, it may save you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Down the road.
Right.
So sometimes it's prudent, before you enter into something, to come and talk to somebody like me.
And I know that you told me too that, because I'm trying to figure out, everybody, I know you getting them, because I know other people say that they get them too. Because at first I was taking it personal, right?
Yeah.
That they send you a picture of your house a long time ago, and they say, "Oh, do you want to sell your house?" And then you could tell when they took it, because you know what your front looks like and what it did look like, okay, from different companies, okay. And Paul saw the one when we first bought the house. He said, "Man, I forgot all about them trees that we had in front of the house." He said, "I could have had that." I said, "Yeah, but you better not call nobody, okay." But you're getting all kinds of mail now that people, because of what you said, that the property value has gone up, they're trying to buy your houses. So you get all.
They want a deal.
Or they
want a great deal.
Oh yeah, and then they say, "Oh, well, we'll pay you cash, for your house." I mean, you get all kinds of stuff. So you get long letters, little postcards. You get phone calls. We in your neighborhood. We want to know if you want to sit down and talk. No. Okay, just say no. And my mother told me a long time ago, if you get a phone and you don't know who it is, and somebody says to you, am I talking to whoever you are, you say no. Or they say hello, and you say hello. And then they say, is this so-and-so? Say, who you looking for? You know what I mean? She said, just don't say yes, because sometimes, and I think you even told me, she told me right, because sometimes they have a recorded line, and they ask you these succession of questions that make you say yes or make you say no, and then they'll come back later on, and you don't know that they have now take that transcription from you saying yes or no and who you were, and then all of a sudden your house is sold and you don't even know it's been sold. You know what I mean? Because you gave them permission to do whatever it was that they was trying to do. So my son tells me, if you don't know who the number is, don't answer it. Just let them leave a message. If you don't know, you're not expecting a call from somebody, just don't answer the phone. Just tell them to leave a message on your comment thing. Please leave a message, because there's so many scams that are out here. It's really, really crazy. And
seniors are the ones who, in many situations, these scams are being directed at, because seniors have disposable income. They got houses that are either paid for or houses that they've been in for a long time, and they got a lot of equity in them. And a lot of seniors are lonely, and they just want somebody to talk to. And sometimes, somebody pick up the phone and, they engage you, they start talking to you, they gain your trust, and then before you know it, quite possibly it could be a scam. So that's the reason why I said before, you can talk to people, but before you sign anything, before you agree to anything, pick up the phone and call your lawyer. Okay? Or talk to a trusted family member or friend, and be careful with those trusted family members or friends. That's why you always need like a local lawyer that you can just go see. Like, look, I got this. They want to do this. Do you think this is a good idea?
But you know, I'll take a picture in a minute
Yeah.
and send it to you and say, is this trash?
Yeah.
What? And then I get back, Paula, it's an advertisement, leave it alone, you know. So I try to kind of pay attention now, so I won't be wearing you deaf with an email. But I mean, you know, one number, because I'm not trying to sell my house. And look, my mortgage company asks me every month, do you want to keep your home? So now it's a joke.
Yeah.
Because I know that before they ask me, I already tell them, yes, I plan on keeping my home. And they start laughing. They say, how you know I was going to ask you? Because we have to ask everybody that question, you know.
They're required to ask everybody that question.
Yeah.
Because if you're having issues,
Yes.
there are federal laws and state laws out there that say that they have to provide you with something called loss mitigation. So they have to take you through their you know.
The rendition of whatever it is that's out there for you. Yeah. And they just laugh at me because I said, I already know what you're going to say, you know, because I'm trying to call and make a payment. That's all I want to do. I want to make a payment, okay?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, no problem. But they say it's just so funny. You're the only person, you know, sometimes I get the same people. You're the only person that beat me to the question, okay? And then she said, but I have to ask you. That's what they tell me. I have to ask you.
But before we end the day, I just want to make certain that we make the point that that people need to get their affairs in order. I don't care if you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, get your affairs in order, because if you don't, then, you know, then the state will, or the state will hire somebody who's going to take a big chunk of, you know, what you worked for, what should be going to your friends and family members and people who you wanted to go to. You know, it's going to be going to pay legal fees and other professional fees and whatnot. So get your affairs in order.
And I just want to say, so we're going to follow up on this because there's other stuff we wanted to talk about on the Lady Nighthawk show, because these two shows should run. This one comes on at 3:30. Lady Nighthawk comes on at 8 o'clock. So we're going to follow up on these because there's some more important stuff that he needed to tell you. And, you know, I start talking, I go off on a tangent. So anyway, I want you to get this information. So if you miss it, my stuff stays on for a whole week, okay? So catch it. If you don't catch it, if you catch it at 3:30, which is Let's Talk with Paula, this show, then we're going to follow up with the Lady Nighthawk show, which comes on at 8 o'clock, okay? Runs the whole week. So it's probably not this week, but by the time they see it, it might be planned, okay? So 2 weeks, it seems like it's taking.
Paula, just one more thing. I would like for you to make certain that you tell your people that voting season is coming up.
Yes. So
please, this last minute, just remind everybody about how important that is.
And you already said it, so we can say good night. All right. Good night.
Please get out and vote.
Yeah, get out and vote. Please, November, please vote. Look up the information first, though, okay? And make sure that who you're voting for is doing what you thought they were going to do for you. And if they're not, then get rid of them, okay? But this is the most important time for you to vote. So please vote. And it's in November. And get out there. And if you want to run, I think you're heading to the end of this month for a city council seat. I think you can go over there and pay $25 and fill out the application. That's it, okay? And then there's some other stuff they're going to tell you. But with that, I'm going to let you go. All right. Good night. Okay.